Who sent the agenda in the chat?
All right. Okay. So our folks on Zoom, somebody just give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me okay. Wonderful. That's great. Welcome each and every one of you to the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition meeting 2024. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. I'm so glad to see so many of you to come out on this cold evening here, but we are here to conduct the business. So grateful to have so many on Zoom as well. We are committed to making sure that these meetings are accessible to our citizens, and we will continue to continue to improve on having our hybrid meetings. My name is Willie Lightfoot, for those who may not know, City Councilman at Large and also Chairman of Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition. I'm joined here with my staff, Andre Gully and Dassey are here with me. The president of Melendez sends his regards. He's not able to make it today due to the fact that he's has another engagement that he could not get out of. Also, newly council vice president Lachey Harris unfortunately is under the weather and is not able to make it tonight either. So both of them send their regards. They would be here. They're typically at every meeting, but they're not able to make it tonight. We plan to have a very brief meeting tonight due to me. I have to get to another engagement that actually President Miguel is at. However, we do have a full agenda for you tonight, and hopefully you all have received the agenda. We will probably forego just going around the room like we typically do, just to save a little bit of time. I'm glad to also, can you give me a copy of one of those agendas, please? I'm also glad that we have Captain Mura with us, and we have in person, we have Aaliyah Hinton is with us as well. We thank God for her, and she's also one of our chairpersons of our committee. I think the majority of our committee folks are here. Good to see Ruth. I see Ruth. Good to see all of our folks here and all of you. We also are joined with Captain Mura, I see is on the line, and also Vic Saunders, who's assistant to the mayor around violent prevention. So we're glad to have him on board with us today as well. So we're going to start as we typically do. And I see so many of you, and I don't want to start calling names because then I can get in trouble, right? Because I'm miss somebody. But I see Wanda, I see Doug Ackley from Teen Empowerment, and all of you here, pastors and everyone. I'm just so glad to have all of you guys here with us this evening. We'll start with a moment of silence, thinking about all of the victims that we have been traumatized, the victims and the ones who have been traumatized and their families over the years. And I say over the years because we see this violence happening year after year after year, and even one homicide, one shooting is one too many. So we'll start with a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Like I said, we'll forego the introductions because I don't see a lot of new faces. If there's anyone this is your first time attending a Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition, I would ask for you, whether you're in person or whether you're on Zoom, if you would identify yourself and introduce yourself. If it's your first time at a Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition meeting. Okay, wonderful. All right, we don't have any first timers, so we're all experts around here. All right, so typically what we do, ladies and gentlemen, and for those who don't know the format of these meetings, and I'll give you an overview, very high level real quickly, just so you can understand the direction of the Rock Against Gun. First of all, we're very excited about the growth of the Rock Against Gun Violence and the reinvigoration and commitment from the community. We've created the Solution Action Plan, which are 12 steps, and we're working very strong and hard to implement those solutions in 2024. But these meetings, typically we get an update from the individuals that you see on the agenda. RPD update, Crisis Intervention Service update. You'll have an update from myself We'll have questions and answers for those of you who may be here and online. And then our next meetings you'll see are at the bottom of the agenda. The agenda has also been posted on Zoom on the chat. Will be February 5th at 6 o'clock here, hybrid again. And those links, if you're here, most likely you're receiving the emails that we received that send you all of the information, the link information to log on to Zoom. And then what we've added now, we have a full gamut of committees and committee chairs and co-chairs. And now the leadership is meeting a week before these meetings. So that's why those updates starting next month, you'll start getting more updates from the committees as well. And all of this work that we're doing from this point forward will all be centered around the solution action plan. Okay, so that is our direction. At this time, I'll call for the RPD update by Captain Murrow. Welcome, sir. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Councilman. Happy New Year to everybody on the call and everybody in person. I appreciate everybody's time. I realize that everyone's got a busy schedule. I'm going to try and be brief, but Councilman Lightfoot asked me to give a brief synopsis of the new violence prevention section within RPD. So after I give you the stats, I'm going to run through a few of the highlights of the new section. And then what I'll do, Councilman, is I'll email basically an overview of our violence prevention section to Andre, and it can be disseminated to everybody on the call and in person if that suits you.
That's fine, because everyone's on the email distribution list, so they'll all get that information. Thank you, Captain.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is give you the stats from last year, just for shootings and homicides, and then I'll move into the guns taken off the streets over the last month and over the entire year for last year. And then I'll move into the overview of the violence prevention section. So for last year, we had 248 shooting incidents with 289 victims. And those are not homicide victims. Those are just shooting victims. So homicides are separate from that. So 289 victims, 248 incidents. And I've said this before, right from day one when we first started this group, each one of those incidents could be a homicide. So we're very lucky in that they're not. So for homicides last year in 2023, we had 58. So that's an incredibly high number of homicides, but it's almost 20 less than we had in 22. In 2022, we had 75. In 2021, we had 85. So we're trending in the right direction, but we're nowhere near perfect, and we got to keep working on it. As far as guns for last year, we took off the RPD and our partners in Monroe County, right within the city limits, took 517 handguns off the street. So think about that number for a minute. That's 517 handguns just last year alone, 211 long guns, rifles, shotguns, things of that nature. 86 of those handguns were ghost guns. And for those that, I'm sure everybody on this call knows, but anybody who's watching on the internet, a ghost gun is a gun that's not registered, not legally produced. It was produced by parts, and it doesn't have a registration or a serial number. So again, 86 of those were ghost guns. So leaving the stats, I'll move into what the violence prevention section is. But again, I'm going to be fairly brief because I could talk about this for about 3 hours. So I'm going to be brief. And if you have any questions, I'll put my email in. You can email me any questions you have about it. And I'll send the overview of the violence prevention section to Andre and anybody who emails me directly. So the highlights of the violence prevention section. It's a new section that's, I lead the department's violence prevention section. I have 2 lieutenants working for me. One of the lieutenants oversees our GIVE initiative. And for anybody who's not familiar with the GIVE initiative, it's gun-involved violence elimination. And that's a DCJS program, and it's a state-funded program that gives all the municipalities with high levels of gun crime money to fight that crime and hopefully reduce shootings and homicides and gun-related crime. So my other lieutenant runs our strategic initiative unit. The strategic initiative unit works on different things within the community. Some of that is focused deterrence. And by that, I mean, we're figuring out using our Monroe Crime Analysis Center. We figure out who's involved in gun crime, and it's not that difficult. We have a pretty good idea for the most part who's involved in gun crimes. We figure out who they are, and we try to intervene with a bunch of different tactics. If we know that they're involved in gun crime and they have warrants and things of that nature, then obviously we look to get them off the streets. If we know that they're hanging out with individuals that are involved in gun crime, or they have the propensity to be involved in gun crime, or in the past they were involved in gun crime, and it just appears like they're not going down the right path, we'll do what's known as a custom notification. So we'll go and we'll find that individual. We'll take our partners with us from, for instance, SNUG, Pathways to Peace. All of our partners within the community, could be clergy, could be anybody. When we go to the home, we talk to the individual, we explain to them that we know what they're doing or what they may be thinking about doing, and we give them opportunities and services. We give them the opportunity for educational programs, work-related programs, work training programs, things of that nature, to try to steer them down the right path before they get involved in gun crime or further gun crime. So that's a custom notification. We also do case of place investigations and COPR patrols. And without getting into the long details of that, what I'll tell you is, statistically speaking, everybody on this call, and you've heard me say this before, we know of certain areas within the city of Rochester where shootings tend to happen on occasion, sometimes more than on occasion. So what we do is we do a CPTED analysis, and that's crime prevention through environmental design. And we figure out what's causing crime to happen there. Is it certain things about the location, maybe a business that's open that attracts folks that have the propensity to commit crimes, or is it because the location's not well lit, or whatever the case may be? And once we figure that out, we put resources into that area and we address it. And hopefully, statistics have shown in other cities across the country over time that will retract crime and reduce crime in that specific area. So we're currently doing those programs, and there's a bunch more. When I send you the overview, you'll understand what I'm referring to with all these different, definitions that I'm giving you and things of that nature. And I'd be happy to answer any questions once you send me questions, or you can even call me if you'd like. But aside from that, right now we currently have, as I mentioned, myself, 2 lieutenants, 4 officers. Hopefully we're going to be getting more officers put in, but just because I only have 4 officers in the violence prevention section doesn't mean that we don't have more officers doing these details. What we do is we bring them in on overtime through the GIVE initiative, through the money that is allotted to RPD from DCJS. So that basically, that summarizes it.
Thank you, Captain Murrah. I'm going to ask, typically we take questions, but tonight we're not going to do that. What I'm going to ask you to do, especially since he didn't give us all of the information, and he's going to give us that, when he sends that information to Andre, between Andre and Dassey, they will make sure they compile that information, send it out to the group. I'm asking our partners here if you would put your questions in writing. In that way, because another thing too is we want to be able to capture and have the receipts of the work that we're doing. I think that's very important. And everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to really leave, because when I came into this role, there wasn't a lot for me to utilize, in this space from the city council. So I don't think that should stay like that. I may not be in this position forever, somebody else is coming behind me, and they don't need to start this work from the beginning. They need to have breadcrumbs, if you will, to pick up this work and continue, because let's face it, violence is going to be around, it's stuff we're going to be dealing with, and we have to be realistic about that. And so please, sir, please, ma'am, if you would, please put your after you receive the minutes from this meeting, then you'll be able to have your questions, and we want you to send those back to us. Thank you, Captain Murray. We appreciate you for all the work that you do and all of the men and women that serve under you and with you. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
You too. We're going to have our crisis intervention update from Miss Aaliyah.
Good evening, all.
Can y'all hear her on Zoom? I just want to make sure they can hear you on Zoom, Leah. You may have to give it from up here because that's the mic right there.
Okay.
The mic is right, this round thing right
Where
there.
should I be?
You can sit in that in Andre's chair from up. Oh, we can roll this chair on over there for you. Yeah, give her that shit. There you go. Wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm Aaliyah Hinton-Williams from the Crisis Intervention Services Unit with the City of Rochester. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to give an overview on the data from our unit from last month. So regarding our person in crisis PIC team, we responded from October 1st to December 31st of 2023. We had a total of 1,400 responses. 399 of those responses were PIC team only calls, which we are pleased about. We'd like to see that number increase as time goes on, obviously. And our number of co-responses was 1,026.
Wow. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And for our community support team, that's our team of counselors who provide, among other things, victim assistance services. We had from October 1st to December 31st, 908 incidents of assisting victims in our community. Anyone who's a victim of a crime, crisis, trauma.
Wait. You said October to December. That's only 3 months.
Correct.
900 calls.
908 incidents.
Incidences.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And that's the community support team.
Yes, that's our team of counselors.
That's staggering numbers. I hope people really in 3 months, almost 1,000 families with counseling, which is great. That's great because they're getting the counseling services that they need. But that's a large number.
That's a large number.
How many counselors do you guys have?
We have 7.
That's a big load for 7 people.
Yes.
Right. So when we're listening, our resource committee, when we're listening. This is budget time for city. So what we hope to see, Ms. Aaliyah, in your budget, we hope to see a ask and a request for more counselors, for more staffing, because obviously the need is there.
Yes, it is.
All right.
And then our final number for our homicide response team is that we did assist with 4 homicides in the month of December.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to thank you, Ms. Aaliyah. I'm going to ask everyone to just reserve your questions for after you receive the minutes. And then our next meeting will be a little more robust because we're going to really dive into some of these distinguished needs that we see coming out of not only the solution action plan, but even things like we heard tonight. These are things that I think we can address immediately. Like I said, when we talk about the solution action plan, we're not sitting on this document. We're not sitting on this information. We're going to move on this stuff. And then we just heard a need tonight. I heard it that we could address. I've seen Vic. I've seen Vic on the screen. Mr. Saunders?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You got next up, brother. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I see all our partners in the audience, Doug, Sharice, Mr. Aponte. Have a good evening. Basically, right now, in the Office of Violence Prevention, we are transitioning our operations. We have expanded our role and almost 35 individuals within our office currently. So with that being the case, operations for Office of Violence Prevention programs will go back to Department of Recreation and Human Services, although we will remain within the mayor's office. With that, it's been a busy month or two in the way of the work we've been doing, specifically on our national front. We have, however, hired the new manager for Pathways to Peace, Mr. Zekwe Tukes. We're very excited about that. The team as well is very excited about that prospect. We've also hired 2 new school-based workers, which expands our team to almost 9 at this point. And I'll be remiss if I didn't thank our former manager of Pathways of Peace, Mr. Anthony Hall, for all his hard work in making that contract happen. Also, we worked with Senator Gillibrand's Mental Health Violence Disruption Grant Workshop people to look at the prospect of bringing more funding to the city as it relates to individuals dealing with violence related to mental health issues. Also, we've had a couple of different calls with the White House Office of Violence Prevention around increasing funds for gun violence victims, even discussing an ammo tax as an option to create a sustainable fund for victims of violence. We do understand that shooting victims often go through years of rehabilitation and needs for health services that a lot of times they can't afford. So we really want to push that effort as well. We're coming up on our first full complete year of Rochester Peace Collective work with our 19 grassroots vendors from around the community. We have national consultants from Bronner Consultants here with us to assist with monitoring and evaluations of the program. It's looking phenomenal right now. People really need to look at the fact that with all the great work across the community that's occurring with our grassroots organizations, they are really having a hand in the decrease in violence that we're seeing across the community. We also have had our work with the National League of Cities Justice Policy Network, working on policies involving public safety and strategies related to reimagining public safety, understanding that we're not going to arrest ourselves out of the situation, and more grassroots organizations are becoming involved in the anti-violence efforts and showing market success. The National Office of Violence Prevention Network, which we are a partner and sponsored by the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform, has been convening meetings monthly. We had the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform come to the city and train our entire school-based staff and school and street outreach team in cognitive behavioral therapy as trainer. We've also been able to start groups within some of our centers as a companion to the social emotional work that the Center for Youth Services is also offering in our art centers. So we're grateful to be able to work with those participants and their families in that way. We also started work with Strong Hospital, continued the work that we're doing with Strong Hospital. Since 2009, we've had the Rochester Youth Violence Partnership, and Pathways has always been a partner since day one within that initiative. Along with that, with the Emergency Room Social Worker Department, we're now doing a program under the Strong Firearm Prevention Group. And basically, we're looking at different ways to be able to prevent violence among teens and pediatric individuals. We just completed grand rounds last week with a professor from Ohio State University that talked about pediatric firearm injuries and the effects it's having on the different communities across the country. So we definitely want to target that and understand that no child should be shot or stabbed ever. And we want to definitely stand up to the fact that we know that violence is a public health situation at this point and beyond just public safety. The National Center for Health and Justice Integration for Suicide Prevention, we've also done some work with them, understanding that a lot of times we, people of color, don't really have an opportunity to really look at the numbers and how it affects us within these communities. Post-COVID, we had an uptick in suicides across the country in communities of color, and people have not been able to get what they need a lot of times to be able to intervene on behalf of those individuals most in need. And so being able to do that and rely on teams such as Aaliyah's team, a lot of communities don't have a PIC team. And because of that, a lot more people are suffering in silence. We're also working with the Greater Rochester Alliance, or After School Alliance, to assist in expanding funding to grassroots organizations that are working across the community to work with our young people in youth development, as well as life skills. So with that, we're staying fully busy and engaged, and looking forward to being able to offer more support within the schools and the community as it involves our young people and our youth.
Thank you, Mr. Saunders. Appreciate you and always the work that you and your team do. And we thank you for that update. And I'm sure that we'll have some questions at the next meeting in regards to taking more of a deeper dive in some of it sounds like you had a lot of new employees. You got a new director of Pathways of Peace. You have some new work that you're doing there. And so we're looking forward to maybe hearing some more about the vision of the new director, where they're looking to maybe improve, or what work that they're looking to get into maybe differently in this year.
Yeah, he will be have an opportunity to speak with the group on upcoming meetings.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you.
Yeah. So somebody coming in there. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so we have my update next, and then I'm trying to leave some time because I do want to capture some questions or input or ideas from the folks who took your time to come here, and I do want to hear from you tonight as well. My update is very brief. I already told you like how we're moving forward. The first thing I'll say is that it was even said to me recently that I was chair of public safety. I used to be chair of public safety back in 2017, 2018. And then right before the pandemic or after the pandemic, I stepped down just to do a lot of things that I was going on in my life. And I had not been the chair of public safety for the last 2-3 years. Very recently, we reorged city council, and I have been reappointed as chair of public safety for city council. I was on chairing Parks and Public Works for a while. So I moved from Parks and Public Works to chairman of public safety. So this coming month will be my first opportunity as chairman of public safety. And now why that is a good thing for this coalition, as well as the fact, and I'm glad this is public. I'm glad everybody's hearing this, because this is a historic, and I'm glad the news is here. We didn't invite them, they came on their own. So this is, just divine, I believe. This coalition has 3 city council members on it. Okay, the president of city council, the vice president of city council, and the chairman of the public safety committee. That is historic. I don't think that's ever happened for any committee that's standing such as this. First of all, there is no RAND initiative by council other than this, the Rock Against Gun Violence, which I founded in 2018. So that to me shows you the milestone and the importance, and how the council is taking this very important, this as one of the #1 issues we're having within our community. They're both not here. I told you, Council President, Vice President Shea is under the weather, and President Miguel, who's always at our meetings, is just unable to make it tonight. But they fully support this work, and they're typically and they're chairing committees of this Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition. So I say that and say, why is that? I say it because, to me, in order to get things done, you have to have the ability to get them done, right? So it takes 5 votes in order to pass something on this council. We have 3 of the majority of 5 on the council already, and they're the president, the vice president, and the chairman. So I just want you to see how important that is to us moving this work along. That's all the point I'm trying to make, that it's more positive that we're going to be able to move this work along than it is daunting to say, and the rest and all of council, and I kept it that way. They asked me if I wanted to only have a few members of council on public safety or continue to keep the entire council, all 9, on public safety. I opted to keep all 9 on public safety because I believe, as was said before by Mr. Saunders, public safety is a crisis, an epidemic that requires everyone's attention. And I think, we all need to be involved, and we all need to be rolling up our sleeves and getting in this work. So going forward, I have a public safety memo that I just sent to my staff today that I'm going to be releasing to the Public Safety Committee at our first committee, which is going to be my vision for public safety going forward. The entire public safety, so it's police, fire, 911, emergency management, EMS. I have a public safety kind of memo that's addressing a lot of things that I want to see going forward. I have 20 years of background in public safety, and I've chaired it before, and we've had some great successes. When I look at these numbers of the PIC team, the crisis intervention, and all of the work that they're doing, I take some credit, for that work, or I had some play in that, and this coalition had some play in that, because that was one of the recommendations of this coalition, to have emergency response, crisis intervention. And then some of my colleagues took it even a step further to create the programming around counseling services and non-police response, through Mary Lupien, Councilmember Lupien, former Vice President, and Councilmember Harris. They worked very diligently to work with Miss Aaliyah and her team to create from the what's the model from co-host, am I getting that right? Cahoots program, right? Which was in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken, or it came from another city, but they kind of took that program and kind of was tailoring it to Rochester, so that we could have more non-police responses. Remembering, prior to all of this work and that work, City of Rochester did not do human services. We didn't do that work. That work was done by the county for years, for decades, City of Rochester. But we realized, this last administration and this administration realizes that we needed to get in the human service work business, because our residents need that. And we see the numbers. We just heard the numbers tonight. Thousands of people, hundreds of people are asking for counseling services. Hundreds of people have been shot. Hundreds of people have been affected and impacted and traumatized. Imagine if we weren't doing any of that work, any rise up work, any of these type of work, but we're dealing with the needs of these citizens. I think we would see the numbers even higher, because of the impacts that the trauma has on people. So I just wanted to update you on that about the structure and the new structure of the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition. And going forward, I'm very excited about that, because I'm looking to jump out from the first, second, third, fourth quarter, first, second, and third month, the first quarter, with policy, practice, and procedures. And I'm saying that publicly because I want you because you're the citizens to hold me accountable for what I'm saying to you. To say, like, okay, you said we're gonna do this, you know what I mean? So we gotta do it, so there's no excuses, right? So, and that's what we're committed to and what we're holding ourselves accountable to. Also, we did have, typically Mr. Curran is always with us from ATF. He's one of our partners. He's unfortunately, or not unfortunately, fortunately, his wife is expecting with children. He's at a childbirth class. So, he probably didn't want to miss that, I'm sure. But he did send a report. And at the report, he said that ATF Rochester's Violent Crime Task Force members dismantled a violent armed home invasion crew. This was a home invasion crew that was going around doing home invasions violently. That was residents of the city of Rochester. In November 2023, the leader of the crew, I'm not going to say its name, was sentenced to, I guess I can't even sentence, Robert Forbes was sentenced to 19 years in federal prison. Another member of the crew, Eric Lowe, was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. 4 additional members of the crew have pleaded guilty and are pending sentences. During some of the home invasions, individuals were restrained, pistol whipped, and suffered injuries. Andrew Hendry has pleaded guilty in federal court for sale of machine guns in the city of Rochester. He is scheduled to be sentenced in March 2024. Denzel Esther Stevenson was sentenced to 60 months in federal prison for the sale of fentanyl after a search warrant in the city of Rochester yielded firearms and fentanyl. To follow up on what was mentioned last meeting, the ATF NIBIN ballistics machine at the Rochester Public Safety Building, Monroe Crime Analysis Center, is up and running. Crimes have been matched through the use of this system. Remember, they only had one before. Now they have 2. thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone next month at the next meeting. He's asked me to thank everyone and for their time, and he also said he wanted us to have this new flyer for anonymous tips to ATF. And so now, and we have, I believe, have sent this out to everyone. We'll be sending this out to everyone. It's mobile users. Do you have information on gun crimes or other violent criminal behavior that you would like to communicate anonymously to ATF? The answer is right at your fingertips with ATF Tips app by Report It. iOS, Android users can download the app in the App Store or Google Play. ATF Tips, Report It app. So now there's an app where folks can report anonymously any crimes or any gun activity that they may see. They can report it. There's also a QR code that we're sending around too. This information Dassey will be sending. Also, we have a newsletter, hopefully, that we will be sending out
Each month.
each month.
Yeah.
So you guys will get a monthly newsletter from the coalition, updating you on what's going on, what's happening, what we're doing. Dassey and Andre Num are doing a fabulous job with communicating. I hope you see that the communication has stepped up significantly. Yeah, they deserve that. They are doing a bang up job with keeping this thing rolling and making sure that we're all on the same page. And we plan to continue that going forward. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to ask, are there any questions from in person or on Zoom? Or does anybody have anything to share, any input, any up and coming events that people may be having going on between now and the next our next meeting? Because we meet every second Monday of every month. Does anybody have any event that they want to disclose to the public that we can participate in? Also, any events you have for 2024, please get them to Andre and Dassey. We do have a community calendar we're creating. We don't want to be stepping on each other's toes. If you're having an event, we want to support your event. We don't want to have same events on the same day, right? Let's try to prevent that from happening because some of us do Peace Fest, different events that we have, and we know when we're having these events. Please get them over to us so that when we schedule events, we can schedule them not at the same time that you're doing yours, and then we can all support each other in each other's events. All right, I told y'all I was going to get y'all out early tonight. So if no one else has anything, I'm sorry. If no one else has anything, I'm going to say thank you all for coming tonight. God bless you. I'll see you at the next meeting. The leadership meeting will be always the week before our general meeting. This is considered a general meeting. Our leadership meetings will always be a week before that, and they're in person as well too. All right. So may God bless you. May God keep you. Until next month. Stay safe. Thank you. Yes.